Hey guys, happy Monday. We have a ton to get through today. That's why we did some stuff on Friday. I just want to make sure that we were able to get to what we need to because we are going to have your test on Wednesday, which means that we are going to have everything is going to be on College Board. Okay, it's going to be multiple choice for your response like it normally would. Okay, but it'll be the same style, same idea as what you guys did on Friday as far as a quiz. Okay, so we gotta get through all this. We're gonna do it in two separate parts. We're gonna watch about 10 minutes beginning of class, 10 minutes at the end of class. So we're going to look at retrieval, how to take that information out of that memory storage. Remember, we've been talking about memory storage and how to get it back to where, how to get your memories out of there. So there's a couple types of tasks that you are constantly doing. Okay, you can recall information, which you're retrieving information that you previously learned. You're doing this when you take a test. When you take a quiz, you're retrieving that information, stuff that you have in your brain, you're trying to pull it out. And then there's what's called recognition. Okay, that's when you're identifying things that you've learned. You recognize, you identify these learned things. So like you take a multiple choice test. Okay, so the free response will be recalled, by the way. Multiple choice would be more of a, you look at the answers and you're like, and you can tell that one makes sense, that one makes sense, that one doesn't make sense, that one doesn't make sense, that one doesn't make sense. Okay, you're recognizing certain things, certain cues, and that's how you can remember some of these things. So it all depends on how you store that information, okay? And that's basically what is encoding specificity. And it is information present at encoding effective as retrieval cue. So the things that are around you when you're actually taking that information in, once again, chewing gum, studying in the same room that you took the notes, so on and so forth, that's going to allow you to remember a little bit better. So seeing a teacher in school, you remember their name. However, some of you guys, like 3 years down the road, will see one of your teachers. You'll see them out in public and not in like the normal school, I guess, setting, and you'll take a second and you won't remember who they actually are, okay? Because you've taken them out of that normal role, it's hard to remember some things. I do the same thing with students that I've had really good relationships from school, and then I get out of school and I'm like, oh God, I can't remember this person's name. So it just depends on the setting, and removing that setting is kind of confusing for a lot of people, and it just kind of tricks the brain. Okay, so the context is really, really important for your memory. Okay, that's what context-dependent memory is. So you remember better when they recall information in the same setting. So once again, if you're in that setting, you're going to remember things better. We've already talked about that over and over and over and over and over. Okay, so those are just a couple terms / things that you guys probably should have an idea of. Once again, make sure you're doing the reading because I can't get through everything. Why is this not working? There we go. So we're going to look at special cases of retrieval. Okay, one of these things that are called false memories is the first one. Okay, a false memory is you retrieve information out of your brain that really never happened. It feels like it was there. It feels like a real memory, but in reality, it wasn't something that you actually have. And it's basically your brain is filling in gaps and making up information that sound normal. They seem normal, but they never really happened. It never really took place. Okay, so it's one of those things that your brain is manufacturing something for you. It's kind of confusing you a little bit. Okay, and that's what a false memory is. So those people that will like make up these stories and they really believe it and they really think they're actually there, that's what a false memory is. We have kids in the school that I've talked to that do this pretty frequently. Okay. Secondly is what's called autobiographical memory. Okay, it's a type of this is called episodic. So you remember like this long period. Okay, recollections of your life experiences. Okay, so you can look back 5 years and remember like your entire what about seventh grade year. Like you can remember from start to finish everything you did 7th grade and how 7th grade actually worked for you. Okay, that's what episodic memory actually is. So like for me, I'm now old, I'm 36. I can go back and I can remember like things that I did in high school. I can remember things that I've done in college. I can remember some of the jobs that I've actually had and what happened in those jobs, and kind of basically create an autobiography of my life as I've gone through some of these things. Okay. So you guys will remember roughly 2/3 of the decades of your life. So about 2/3 of your life you're going to remember. The other part you're not. Okay. Kind of depressing, but that's just kind of the way life is. So It is a hierarchy, and if you look on page 234, it'll kind of go through that hierarchy with you. I don't really have time to do that right now because we are online, but it's basically the things you'll remember and how you guys can actually communicate and remember those things, okay? This is called the reminiscence bump, by the way, just FYI. So like general information, general events, event-specific information, you're going to recall things that are really, really important to you, but average things are just going to be out of your memory forever, which once again is kind of depressing. So like, I can remember graduations. I can remember football games. I can remember playing in football games and what I did and what happened. And I can remember basketball games that I've coached in and football games that I've coached in and how they worked and how they didn't work. You can remember. I remember losses better than I remember wins. I mean, it's one of those things that that's kind of how your memories are stored and how you retrieve that information. So you can remember things from a long time ago. They just have to have an importance in your life. Okay. So these are what are called special cases of retrieval. Another type of memory that's out there is called an emotional memory, okay, a flashbulb memory. Okay, these are emotionally significant events. They're vivid, they're accurate. They're things that are stuck in your head forever. So like this is my daughter, like age 1. I remember exactly where we were when we took this picture. Okay, it's one of those things that you just don't forget. Or like you can remember getting married. You can remember kids being born. You can remember funerals. You can remember where you were when this happened. Those are emotional memories, things that are never going to be forgotten. That's what a flashbulb memory is. It's the things that you will not forget. It's the things that are really, really clear, really, really emotionally significant. They're vivid. They're accurate. They're perfect. Okay. Traumatic events you will definitely remember. They fall into these emotional memories as well. So like 9/11, I can remember exactly where I was for 9/11. I was in my old classroom. Okay, it used to be a drafting lab we used to have industrial arts. Mr. Beamlander was my teacher for chemistry. The only reason we were in there was because his class was getting remodeled. I was a junior, and I just specifically remember like nothing. We didn't know what the heck was going on, and all of a sudden Mr. Beamlander gets called in the hall. He comes back in. He turns the TV on. When he turned the TV on, the second plane flew into the second building. I remember exactly where I was sitting in the room. It was nuts, okay? That's a traumatic event. You will remember those things. You also have these things called repressed memories, which are things that are in your head. They're there, but you don't remember that they're there. You don't remember that it's part of your life, okay? Usually this is because of a traumatic event in your life, and all of a sudden, something triggers it and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot this entire period of my life. Okay, that's because your body naturally repressed it as a way of basically safeguarding or protecting you. Okay, so a lot of these are traumatic events as well. So repressed memories are things that just they're there. It's very difficult to remember them. Something has to trigger a memory. And then you have this thing called motivated forgetting. Okay, and that is once again, it's a defense mechanism, says Freud. Okay, so it's basically the unconscious taking over and trying to bury something really bad that happened in your life. You see this a lot with people that have been like sexually assaulted, where they'll bury those things and they'll just forget that they ever happened so that they can move on. Their body is doing that for them so that they can heal, so they can be better, or they can better themselves. So these are just, once again, these are all different types of cases of whether it be remembering things or forgetting things, okay? There's been a lot of studies done on a lot of these different things. Okay, the next one we're looking at is called eyewitness testimony. So you guys watched the brain games in which you guys had to well, maybe it was my regular psych class. I think you guys did too, but they show you like a crime scene. You have to try to remember parts of that crime scene. That's what eyewitness testimony is looking at. And honestly, eyewitness testimony a lot of times is inaccurate. It does contain errors because people will, once again, they'll manufacture things that they want to see. Okay, there's inaccuracies, as you can see, in memory. Your memories are going to be altered by new information, by people saying things, by time that has passed. You're going to distort things. You're going to show bias because we naturally do. Okay, you're going to be inaccurate. Okay, there's errors in eyewitness testimony. So memory is not a perfect reflection of reality. Okay, it's one of those things that kind of can be manipulated and changed over time. Like I guarantee some of the stories that I tell I have changed them, and I believe in my head that they are and they're accurate. But in reality, they're probably not. They're probably things that have changed over the years. Okay, that's just what your memory does. It's very, very common. So all of you guys that have like parents or people that you know that have caught a fish that is 37 inches long, in reality it was really a perch, or they were the best athlete or the smartest person ever, they've probably distorted a few things. They're probably not as successful, or they're probably, they believe in their head, but they're not accurate. Okay, that's just your memory. That's how it works. Okay. So we are going to take a break, okay, and then we will do some more notes here in about 45 minutes. I just want to give you guys a little break from your screen.